Is Anime NYC the Anime Expo response on the East Coast? Let's talk about it. Here are my pre-convention or thoughts before going to the convention for Anime NYC. Today is August 21st. Today is the beginning of the entire convention. I have a badge for Thursday, might be going on Sunday, not sure yet. There are only a handful of conventions on the East Coast that are in the sort of what I consider large to big tier, so anything 40K plus attendances. Anime NYC is one of them, and honestly, now that I guess on their record they have put that have reached over 100K attendees, they have officially been, or I guess if I don't know how they're counting their numbers, but they are officially the biggest anime convention, so anime specific convention on the East Coast. So there are a couple things that come along with it. One, badge pricing is going to be really expensive, even though Anime NYC, this is their first time they're actually doing it Thursday. Normally, historically, they have been 3-day conventions. I think they're asking for $175. I don't know, because I don't know the exact pricing, because they don't include the fees on the website, or like the price they show on the website. But you're now going to more expensive than Anime Expo tier pricing. And are you getting more than that? Because in Anime Expo you have a bunch of concerts, and you have what I think is a much bigger space. Anime Expo, especially if you saw my other videos, has taken a much larger campus. I think there is way more to walk around in Anime Expo. Anime Expo has an exhibit hall, an entertainment hall, and an artist alley. Artist alley and exhibit hall for Anime NYC is in the same room. And so, yeah, it's very expensive. But I guess that's what you get for being a corporation first convention, which is not a bad thing. We'll talk about that in a bit. For comparison, I went to Otakon 2 weeks ago, which is a convention that will not take corporate sponsors kind of convention. So the difference between that is when you'll have a more personal experience, or more personal experience, you'll be able to hang out with friends more. It's more of, hey, local vendors and stuff getting together and running a show. But when you go to a convention like Anime Expo or Anime NYC, it is all the corporations. So this year we have Crunchyroll, Bandai Namco, Viz Media, Aniplex. We'll have HoloLive, which did not have a presence at Anime Expo this year. High Dive, and all the other big vendors. It's not a bad thing, because you're going to get that sort of corporation exhibitor experience. I think, actually, I don't know if I showed a video about it, but it'll be on one of our shorts, so stay tuned for that. The panel, or the exhibit for Crunchyroll, took up 2 spots this year, 2 giant spots. It took up basically the entire back of the exhibit hall for Anime Expo. So, I mean, if you're into that experience, that's an experience you'll only get at the giant corporate run conventions. We had Crunchyroll Expo a couple years back, but they stopped doing that in favor of, being a part of other conventions. And I think it's an interesting move, because now they are basically being the dominant force when it comes to exhibits and convention halls. I'm not going to be surprised if I go into, Anime NYC today and there's a giant multi-story exhibit for Crunchyroll, because they definitely did it for Anime Expo, and it's not like those materials are going anywhere anytime soon. All right, that's just much of me rambling. What am I expecting from this year? I'm only attending Thursday and potentially Sunday. One of the tricky things with Anime NYC is they have a very hard limit on how many multi-day passes you can buy, so you have to buy multiple days. If you don't get the 3-day or 4-day pass, you're gonna have to buy multiple days. Thursday's the cheapest day at like $50 some odd, but it's only a 4-hour convention for Thursday. Every other day is like 80 plus, 70, 80 plus. It's hard because they don't show the fees on the website. So it's a very expensive convention, and especially when you're saying 4 days is $175. That is more than Anime Expo charges, or at least that's more than Anime Expo charged for this year at the door. So, actually no, that's a lie. That is more than Anime Expo charged initially. So we're gonna say we're gonna go off initial pricing. We'll compare the two, put it on the screen somewhere. Things I'm expecting more industry panels. That is a big thing that people go to Anime Expo for, that goes to other conventions for. When you're looking for premieres, you're looking for sneak peeks, you're looking into sort of more exclusive behind the scenes industry insights, you're only going to find that at corporate run organizations. If you're looking at how corporations have run over the years, you'll get that more intimate feeling with some of the more veteran producers, directors at some of the smaller conventions. But if you're looking for the panels on directors and stuff for anime that is happening soon or has happened very recently, you're only going to get that from the corporate run organization or corporate run conventions, Anime NYC, Anime Expo, so on and so forth. I guess you'll also get the same experience at certain Comic Cons that have an anime presence. I know New York Comic Con has a big anime presence because they are sort of the successor to the New York Anime Fest. So with that being said, let's talk a bit about more the convention itself. It is at the Jacob J. Javits Center. That's how it's always been. This is, I believe, the second or third year that they have been. I can check out 2023. This is their second year that they are running the convention in August, which is a very interesting choice. I guess it would be similar to the timing they would have for Crunchyroll Expo if that convention was still going on, but it makes it really tricky for those who've had a schedule of going to conventions in the summer. So Anime Expo is always on my list, and I spend a ton of money. And I'll have a separate video on how I spent well over $3,000 on Anime Expo this year. But you have Anime Expo, I have Otakon. That's why I'm really strapped for cash for this year. That's only going one day. So it's very tricky. Also, it makes it really annoying. Like today, at least it's raining, and tomorrow will be sunny, and it should be much cooler. I think in previous years, these summers have been super hot, so it makes it very uncomfortable for certain cosplays. Not to mention, I guess it's pretty nice that it's in the summer for the fact that more families be going, since most people will not be in school. I know some people have started school already, but generally there's still a lot of schools that are out until September, so I guess it's an opportunity to bring the kids, I suppose, maybe, I don't know. I'm interested to see how it looks like they have a much sort of worked out layout for the convention this year. They've been doing the show since 2017, and it has evolved quite a bit, especially in the first couple of years of how they're, getting more space and how they're utilizing the space. I think they've sort of nailed it down at this point. I don't know how, especially since they're not going on a day that there's big panels. I'm not sure how they handle lines. I know Anime Expo, sometimes it's hit or miss. For the most part, they've handled their lines, but for other big things, they've not handled their lines. I do not know if Anime NYC has handled that. We will see today when I enter for today's convention. So there is that. I'm going to see how they're handling the food situation. Otakon, for example, they cannot take in external or other food vendors in the convention hall. There is a strict contract with the food vendor in the convention hall. So Anime NYC, I believe they have a whole dedicated food section. We'll see how that works and see if they have good offerings. It is always interesting to see conventions that have the artist alley and the exhibit hall in the same room. Technically Otakon does that, but I mean, they had a wall, they opened it up so it's easier to walk around. For the artist alley at Anime NYC, it is in the back of the convention center, or no, it is the back of the exhibit hall. So in order to get to the artist alley, you need to walk through the exhibit hall, which always makes it really interesting unless you're entering from like the sides where there's more free walking space. But yeah, those are just a couple of my thoughts. I don't want to ramble too much. I don't have that many expectations. I wasn't actually planning on attending Anime NYC this year, but considering they have a nice, Thursday cheaper option, I figured, hey, I'm going to give it a try. It's been a while. It is technically my most local convention. To me, I'm based in New Jersey. Anime Next is gone at this point, so the next big convention that is at least 15-20k attendees is Anime NYC. So I gotta support my local conventions. That's it for this video. Hopefully y'all learned something. Here's my expectations. I'm not expecting too much, so I'll probably be surprised regardless. Anywho, that's it for me. Thanks for watching, and I'll check you all out in the next video. I'm gonna be posting a lot on social media on my experiences and also the rest of the team. I know some of the members of the team are also going on certain other days, so hopefully we'll get them to post, or at least get me some footage to post on our pages as well. All right, that's it, and I gotta go in. Buses, it's still work day, so buses are kind of annoying, so